Hello and welcome to the Arena Sports Show, where just like South Africa's left back, Aubrey Modiba, who recorded the most tackles in the 2023 Afcon, will do the exact same and try to tackle what's been happening in the world of sport. I go by the name of Clauiee Mpanza, where today we'll be looking into what's been happening, of course, in terms of the headlines, what's been trending in the world of sports. And then the gentlemen here in studio will get to pick their stars of the week. I'd love to hear from you as well. Who has stood out in the past couple of days in the world of sport? Who has caught your attention? Do let us know in the comments section. And then I read a certain article, I don't know if you bumped into it on TimesLIVE, where a certain gentleman mentioned that the success of South Africa in the Afcon should not mask the issues that they have. So we'll get to unpack that a little bit later. And we do know that as well, that the DStv Premiership is resuming this weekend. So we'll touch on that, a big fixture that we have. It is Mahlatse Sundowns hosting Orlando Pirates. I am Clauiee Mpanza. Joining me today, we've got my favorite influencer who is back. I'm absolutely excited. Listen, order has finally been restored. It's been absolutely crazy without him. It's Mahlatse Mphahlele who joins us today. My favorite football commentator. Listen, I put favorite for you today, Like, we're in good books. Sizwe Mabena. I did. Keep it coming. And then we have a special guest with us today, a man who shares the same sorrow as me as a Chelsea fan, Tshepang Mailwane, of course.
I'm not your favorite anything.
You're my favorite Chelsea supporter. Yeah,
right,
we could do that.
right.
Tshepang Mailwane joins us as well today. Gentlemen, we'll start with you, Mahlatse Mphahlele. You've been to Cote d'Ivoire. You posted saying, let's go to Cote d'Ivoire to fetch the trophy. You come back with no trophy, but you come back with third place. How was the trip?
Yeah, firstly, I think I was a bit worried that you guys will have a good show last week and I'm not here. When I come back, I'm no longer needed.
You are the one person we can't replace on the show, hey?
Yeah, it was a good trip. Last minute stuff. I think I left there on Tuesday, the day before the Nigeria match. And when I finally sat inside the stadium, was in the second half. It was a crazy trip. Johannesburg, Nairobi, sleepover in Nairobi, Abidjan. From Abidjan, a 5-hour road trip from Abidjan to Bouyaké. And it was eventful. Finally, I got to the stadium, watch the match. And I'm happy that we went to penalties, because otherwise, I could not see much of that match. So it was eventful. The journey, the trip itself also very good.
Yeah.
I watched that match. I watched the third and fourth. I watched the final.
But you know what I want to know from you, Mahlatse? What we didn't see on screen is what I'm interested about. How was the experience, perhaps? Some of the things that, when you're watching at home and thinking about Cote d'Ivoire, how the country is, perhaps paint that picture for us?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the people there love their football. It's a football-mad country. You could even see the disappointment that they had, even while I was still here, when the team was on the verge of being eliminated. And being in that stadium on a final, there was a few group of the Nigerian fans on the side, behind the poles there. It was about maybe 200 Nigerian fans. The rest of the stadium, which carries about 60,000 people, was all Ivorians. Getting into the stadium took us almost 2 hours.
Sure.
Just the traffic, the people, the country was excited.
Yeah.
You could feel everywhere. And one thing that I picked up, going around, is the sense of nationalism that the people had. Everywhere you went, there was Ivory Coast flag.
Yeah.
They wear the Ivory Coast jerseys. They are proud people. They love their country. The country is not quite the easiest country to negotiate around, but you find your way.
Yeah.
As you know, with Africa, it's always not easy. But the people there love their football. It was a good tournament. Good football. Most of the matches went to the wire.
Yeah.
There were so-called small countries did very well. The so-called big countries, some went home very early. And, it ended very well with the host country winning. So it was very nice. The excitement that was in the stadium before the match, during the match. Those guys sang from, 1 hour before the match, and they sang all the way. Nobody moved out of the stadium until long after the metal presentation ceremony. So it was nice. I'm happy to have been there to witness it myself. Yeah.
All right, we're glad you are back. All protocol has finally been observed. We had to, of course, greet our Grootman, the oldest man in the building right now, and to find out how he's been. And then we'll get to the rest of the gents. Let's quickly find out what's been happening in your headlines.
In the early hours of Wednesday morning, South African supporters, including EFF leader Julius Malema and Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, gave Bafana Bafana a hero's welcome at the OR Tambo International Airport. The third-place team from the African Cup of Nations arrived with their heads held high after a gutsy performance at the African showpiece, with a few players rumoured to have caught the eye of European teams. The SA20 came to an exciting end with the reigning champion Sunrisers Eastern Cape going back-to-back and sweeping Durban Super Giants in a much-anticipated final in Newlands, Cape Town. Mumbai Indians Cape Town's Rickleton was the competition's top run scorer with 530 runs at an average of 58.88, which included 5 half-centuries and 3 scores in the 90s, which will surely have the Proteas selectors paying attention. Othniel Bartman is another local player who put his name up in the lights with his excellent bowling during the middle overs and at the death, bagging 18 wickets in the process. The DStv Premiership is back. Or well, is it? Technically, yes, even though mouth-watering midweek fixtures had to be postponed to a later date as key players who are part of the Bafana Bafana team had arrived later than expected. Besides that speed bump, fans can expect a much-anticipated fixture between Sundowns and Pirates coming up this weekend, but more on that on the show.
Well, it's great to see that, of course, a lot of the South Africans managed to wake up early to go to OR Tambo to welcome Bafana Bafana back. Interesting statement, Sizwe Mabena, where we've seen Tshepang Mailwane saying that his favorite president is, of course, Julius Malema, and he's been getting a lot of bashing about that.
I like to separate politics and sport.
You can never celebrate the two, though.
And the rest of South African sportsmen and women, separate the two. I think you'll live longer, you'll have less stress.
But you know what I find funny about that? You know what I find? When Siya Kolisi said, Rupert, thank you so much, nobody said anything. It was like, you know, it's just recognizing a senior figure, and then everybody kept it moving.
This year is different because it's the voting year. So,
everybody's
it's touch and go. Everyone's touch and go. So I was like, it's very brave of him. When he said that, I was like, wow, that's very brave of him. But hey,
okay,
you know.
we'll take that. So from a journalist perspective, I mean, waking up early to go to the airport to welcome Bafana Bafana. Talk to us about that, you know, that reception, and of course, what then it means for Bafana and the country.
Well, one, I wasn't there. I would have loved to go, but I had something to do.
Okay.
But it's actually nice to finally see that because, I mean, I've been working for quite a number of years, and many times I've been to the airport to welcome Bafana Bafana.
And it's just the 4 of us,
It's been quite dry, even with fans. I mean, they are there, but to have them go out like this is very inspiring for the players. Yes, it's a third-place playoff. They didn't win the competition. But it will obviously inspire you to go 1 better or 2 better the next time, because now you see that these people have come out to actually watch us and celebrate us. It's something that Ronwen has even said in the past, that they need more supporters coming through, not only to the stadium, but even to the airport. Now that they've kind of experienced that, it should motivate them to keep working hard and keep doing well at major competitions. And I hope that it's just not these 30 days where Bafana Bafana have performed so well. Because it's easy to perform well after this, you complacent or you rest on your laurels and you forget that you're actually supposed to continue from here and not just, you know, forget about what's been done. So it's good to see it. So I hope that we'll have many more of these welcomes at the airport.
We definitely will. Wait, I want to just pause you there now. You pause that thought and then we'll continue it on the flip side. We need to get to our star of the week is what we quickly need to do. Mahlatse and Mphahlele, will start with you. Who's your star of the week so far?
Bafana Bafana.
Jeez, is this the Bafana show?
That's it. I mean, if you look at what Bafana, I mean, when they went there, I personally gave them no chance.
Yeah.
I did say they'll get out of the group, but I didn't see them going, you know, semi-final.
Yeah.
So for them to come back with a bronze medal is something that really should be celebrated for the first time in 24 years. Someone was joking that a kid who was born the last time they were in the semi-final, they're probably working with a family now.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. So kudos to the guys. I think they did well. We are Bafana.
So we must celebrate them when it's
now. Let's celebrate them a bit.
All right, Mabena.
Dane beat South Africa against New Zealand second test. First innings got 5 wickets. I thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
That was a big day, big performance for him. I hope it continues. Now in the second test, he's currently on 1 wicket. So overall, in this current test, he's on 6 wickets. I hope he gets more and I hope he continues to grow from a South African point of view for the Proteas.
Is someone going to ask me, what about me?
Oh, please, go ahead. We did this last week, didn't we?
I love how you guys always forget to ask me. But my star of the week, it's not a person, I guess, just like you, Mahlatse, it's a team where yesterday I had the pleasure of going to Mkhitaryan Stadium in Tembisa to go watch Julius Kasana's team, that being Tembisa Hollywood Thunder. I love the name. Unfortunately, they didn't get the result that they wanted, but I was so impressed in how the club just runs and how involved Nigeria is and how there's just so much order into it. You know, everybody knows their role and everybody fulfills it well. And I guess that's the perks of having somebody who has played the game at the highest level. They know what to do and what not to do. So I thought for me, that's great to see. And hopefully they will continue to do well in the ABC Mutipa League, yeah? All right, so we keep it moving. You wanted to talk about Bafana and the fan perspective.
Yes.
You can indulge us, Sizwe Mabena.
Thank you.
The pleasure is mine.
I was just going to highlight what you were saying about the fans all showing up at the stadium, which now it's us, upon us as the fans as well. I think for the last 10 years or so, Bafana hasn't really had the home support we know they can get, that they've had in years gone by, where if we've got a home game at the FNB Stadium, people fill out and it's difficult for the visiting team coming in, whether it's a qualifier, whether it's a tournament or anything of that sort. For COSAFA, usually, the fans are there and it's quite entertaining, but I'm talking for major games where it's qualifiers for World Cups, qualifiers for Afcons. If we as the fans play our part now and say, look, they've done their business, they've gotten to a 3rd place, they've got the bronze medal. Let's go back to the stadium, let's go back to supporting Bafana. Let's go back to wearing the jerseys again.
For sure.
And play our part in helping them get back to where they should be, which is right on top.
It definitely is. And then let's now get into it, Mahlatse and Mphahlele, your article, where you say that the success of South Africa should not mask the issues that we have. And I find that quite interesting because you just chose them as your star of the week. But then you're then now saying that, hey, there are still issues here and we shouldn't overly celebrate what has happened in the Afcon. Unpack that for us.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it will take the whole afternoon to get into the whole stuff. But just a few things. I mean, a good example is if you look, worldwide, football now has been dominated by teenagers, 21, 22, 23, 24. And in South Africa, some of the top teenagers that we have are nowhere near the national team. That can be normal, I spoke very highly that a player like Mufokeng should have been to Afcon, even if as an unplaying member to go there and get experience. Jaden hasn't played. You've got a few kids in clubs. Mabena at Sundowns, Imo Okon at Super Sports, Chandra Campbell. We've got a few at Cape Town Space. They are at the right age where if you compare other kids around the world of the same age, they are playing Champions League all the time. They're on the fringes of the national teams. Some have actually played at the World Cups. So that's a problem that we have, that we don't have young players that are ready to step up and play for the national team. Yeah. We've just finished Afcon now. The World Cup qualifiers are coming. You can immediately see that the coach is going to revert back to this team that played at Afcon now, because he needs the results to qualify for the World Cup. He won't be brave enough to put the youngsters because it's too risky to put the youngsters. I also feel that maybe our clubs, football is evolving a lot. Sometimes you watch Sundowns, you see the amount of people that are working behind the scenes, sports science and all those kinds of things, analysts, and most of our clubs are not taking that thing very seriously. And those are the things that can give you an extra edge in terms of improving players, making players better, and if players are better in the clubs, they are better for the national teams. And, also the other biggest thing is the issue of we need to somehow find a way of a better working relationship between the PSL and SAFA. I understand that it's almost impossible to pause the DStv Premiership when there's COSAFA Cup and there's Chan. But if a young player like Mufokeng, like Mabena and the others gain minutes of international football at COSAFA, at Chan, that is only good for the national team. I looked at the Angola team that was at Afcon now. Half that team played Chan, half that team played COSAFA. Look at Morocco. Some of those players that were there now play China and play COSAFA. And some of them actually transitioned and played overseas. So it's very important that we need to get these things that are, they look small, but they are very, very important.
For sure.
To sort of get them right at the club level, and then they will sort of translate to the national team. I'm happy the team has done what they've done, but let's not get too excited and forget that there are certain serious issues that we need to focus on, that we need to sort out in our football.
Mabena, what I want to touch on with you, I mean, staying with the club issue, yeah, and I think we've spoken about this extensively so in our own conversations, right? When you look into the club level, especially, I remember we spoke to one dietitian, a physiotherapist, and they said that the biggest problem that they've had in terms of the PSL is that there's a lot of cutting off corners. So touching to the fact that the big staff that Mahlatse Sundowns have, most clubs don't want to pay that money. They're avoiding to, pay more people to do the work, right? And so now what does then that say about the clubs that we have in the league, the management that the clubs have, and also now the way forward? Because the other problem that we've had, it's the selling of statuses. So now the progression of our football, that's now, it's a bit halted, because every time ownership changes, now the history of a club goes. So then that also destabilizes our football in the country.
Well, it's such a complicated and truly South African issue that you have to be in the South African game to truly understand it and to be able to contextualize it. For instance, when you talk about clubs and dietitians and so on, first you have to look at clubs, club owners, and how much they have and how much they can afford. Recently, even now, we're talking about one or two clubs that are struggling financially, struggling to a point where they can't pay players. So they will cut corners in other areas just to be able to put a team out there to train and so on. So that's the first problem you've got in South African football that needs to be sorted out going forward. Maybe the model of a club owner is something we need to look at going forward, and look at franchises and so on in South African football in the years to come. That'll solve a lot of the financial issues. Another thing, when you look at some of the points you guys have made about the youngsters coming through, I'll use one of our best players at this Afcon, Tshepang Mailwane. We've all known of him. He's been a household name since, what, he was 17, 18? And by household, I'm not saying we're saying he's a prospect that's still to come through. He was already playing a super sport, already starting a super sport, scoring goals at Super Sport United, and also playing in CAF competitions at Super Sport United. It's just because of the structural issues, again, between either SAFA and PSL or the number of coaches we've had over a period of time, that with each coach that comes in, new philosophy, new batch of players. So there is no continuity then from, let's say, a COSAFA, a Chan, and working your way up to the national team. Being fortunate enough to cover so many different COSAFA tournaments, I've seen a Zambian team currently that went from under 15 to under 17. They're currently now in the under 20 team, but basically the same group of players and coaching staff. And within the next 5 years, they'll be breaking into the senior national team. Same team, and also same coaching staff as well. So there's continuity there. And that's something we've lacked terribly in South African football. So it's all about the structures, and Mahlatse touched on it when he said SAFA and PSL need to come together and work together in recognizing COSAFA and saying, look, we're going to work in this direction, in building players for COSAFA, Chan, taking time off when we need to, and also time off in the off-season to allow players to go play at such tournaments. It's all about speaking one language, that's South African football, and moving in one direction, which we haven't been. It feels at times like people are pulling in different directions.
Tshepang, I mean, we do know for the longest time in South Africa where when we complain, when the fans say that, no, we are lacking strikers. We don't have strikers in the country. We need more strikers. We don't have goalkeepers. The goalkeeping department, it seems like we don't have the talent. But now here we are, Afcon, our best goalkeeper comes from South Africa, Mahlatse Sundowns star, that being Ronwen Williams. What does that then say to you, having a Ronwen Williams win that accolade, and also now looking into the other keepers and the upcoming keepers in the country?
Well, it tells you that there is the talent. I think we're always complaining that players are not coming through, but it's there, and if you were to dig deeper and find them in wherever it is, a scouting network that you can develop, you would find these goalkeepers. And once you find them, the most important thing is what you do with them. The development, the nurturing, making sure that when they get to that certain level, like Mahlatse mentions players in Europe who are playing in the first team at a certain age, by the time they get to the first team, they're ready to perform.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, is he ready, is he not ready? They throw you in, whether you're playing against Man United, against Chelsea, you're ready to perform. So we need to find a system where when a player is developed, a goalkeeper like you mentioned, when he gets to the first team, doesn't matter if he's 21 or 19, he can get into the team and perform. Ronwen himself, when he was given his debut, he was very young. But look how he was able to grow and perform at a high level. So we need to have players that are developed in such a way that when they get to that level, they're able to perform. My problem is that we get players who get to a Kaizer Chiefs first team or a Pirates first team, you hear a coach saying he's not ready or we need to give him some time. Yes, you have to give him some time in terms of adjusting to that world of, there's now fans who are following you, there's pressure on social media. But he needs to be able to get into the team and still perform, and that's the most important thing. The talent, no doubt, is there.
100%, Mr. Mphahlele.
Just to add also, when I was there at Afcon, I spoke to a scout. You know, the guy is in Ruben Scout. He was with Coach Claude Leroy. And he said that the profile of a South African player is ball playing, skill, you know, all that kind of stuff. But most top European teams are looking also for physique, which is the profile of a West African player. So we need to mix it up a little bit. You know, we can, of course, we can play, you know, that kind of stuff. But you also need, you know, players that like a Papolo Stola kind of a player, a big boy who can play. And I can tell you now, it won't be surprising me if you check Pepelo and Mokoena, the one who may go to a bigger club can be Pepelo because of he fits the profile of what the European wants. They want a big midfielder who can be able to defend, but also a little bit of playing when there needs to be. So that's one area where our players, our football really needs to get right.
An example of that is Dikhatshwa back in the day. Out of our 2010 group, I think it was a big surprise for us to see him going over to England, I think it was. Out of that group where there were so many talented players. I'm not saying he wasn't, but also his physique, I think, played a big part in him going across to England.
I think to add on that, I mean, we've been speaking a lot in terms of the DStv Premiership, where we say that we hear the coaches articulating the fact that we can't start development at the first league. You know, we're playing from the back. It's something that's being introduced to you already in the first team. So I think that also goes back to our grassroots, to our development, to say that, no, a lot needs to be fixed there. I mean, we see so many academies, but who's also, you know, monitoring that, okay, these players are being taught the right thing. So I think a lot needs to be fixed, and it doesn't only start in the first team, but it literally needs to start from while they are kids. Tshepang, I'll start with you on this one. The gentlemen have shared their thoughts and saying that arguably maybe the best, Mahlatse Mphahlele has arguably said, nope, it's definitely not my favorite, but it's amongst the favorites. What has this been your favorite Afcon to date?
Amongst the best, yes. Maybe not the best, but...
Sheesh, why?
But that definitely stands out. I mean, what I like the most is the upsets. You know, back in the day, Morocco would get onto the pitch and you'd be like, okay, Morocco are going to win. Ghana play Cape Verde. You're like, definitely, Ghana are going to win this one. But the way these smaller nations have come through over the years, I've been very impressed with that. And it's something that we should also learn from. I mean, Cape Verde, their progress ever since playing the 2013 Afcon on home soil, on our soil, you should check their progress over the years and how they've done. You can see other nations are coming. Mauritania, for example.
For sure.
The way they knocked out Algeria. They themselves are improving, and I saw in the qualifiers as well. So I've been impressed with that, and it shows that these players are no longer scared of playing against these bigger countries. And as much as we usually praise these bigger nations that have players playing for some of the biggest leagues, you don't always have to be playing for the biggest teams to beat another team. It's 11 against 11 on the pitch. Yes, it's important for us, for example, to have players playing at that stage, but you can definitely compete, especially with us, because we have a Sundowns team that has played together for so long. And once you build a team and there's family, there's brotherhood in the team, you can do so much. Spain, when they won the Euros, World Cup, Euros, yes, top players, but the family, the brotherhood in the team was something else. And once you do that, you can conquer any nation, no matter if they're playing for Real Madrid, Barcelona, because of how you guys will understand one another. Quick example, when Mphahlele scored one of his goals, I think it was against Namibia, the way Thapelo Morena brought that ball back into play
Yeah.
The way he crossed the ball. Maybe something that they work on Sundowns. He knows that Mshishi is probably going to make that type of run, and I can play it there. So it tells you that because they are together for such a long time, they're able to do that and they're able to get the results. So good tournament, and I hope that we can see more of this where the smaller nations are able to conquer the bigger ones so that it's unpredictable.
Yeah, to add on that, I remember having a conversation, and I know you also want to add to it, and I'll allow you quickly, Mabena. I remember having a conversation with Tiko Modise, and he said that, you know, the reason why Akama Billiard did so well at Mamelodi Sundowns was because they understood what kind of player Kama was. They understood how to service Kama. And I think that's where now Kaizer Chiefs fans, they feel frustrated with Kama. But it's because of that brotherhood. You know, we underestimate how important it is to have players around you that understand you. Exactly. And I think that's the thing about chemistry, right? Everybody thinks, oh, it's just chemistry. But it actually does affect how you perform and how you then do well in of course, whatever space you are, be it football, be it work, whatever work you do, you are going to need, you know, people that understand you. What were you going to say, Mabena?
We like to use the Spain 2010 World Cup team as an example.
Yeah.
From a world perspective, but from an African perspective, my favorite is Al Ahly 2006, 2008, 2010. Egypt won all of those Afcons. And Al Ahly was a major part of each one of those teams that won those Afcons. I'm talking similar to now what we saw with Sundowns in the starting 11.
Yeah.
And they had maybe Mido. I think there was a true world star then. He didn't even finish the Afcon in 06. He was kicked out during that Afcon. But they had a local team that ran the African space for a long time.
For sure.
And it all came from a strong local league, which is kudos to us as well, something we're doing well. So we can't, yes, we don't have players overseas, but we can't look down on the fact that our league is doing well enough to be able to compete at that level. And yeah, with what we've got, we can still improve enough to still conquer Africa, I think, even with a strong league and not too many players in Europe. But we have to know what we're doing and, again, move in one direction.
Mahlatse, I mean, picking up from what Mabena is saying, when you look into Bafana, I think we had about 98% of our players locally. So they've all been playing in the PSL. What does that mean for us? Is that something to celebrate? Because I think there's a lot of mixed emotions about it, where some saying, yes, it's a good thing. But there's also the other half where it says, no, but we need our players to be overseas.
Yeah, for me, yes and no. I think it becomes almost unsustainable if you going to say your national team at a major tournament continuously will play with local-based players. Because if you look at the example of what's happening now, I can tell you now, Egypt, Morocco, Ghana, Cameroon, all the big teams will come back strong at the next Afcon. And if our local players don't improve over the next while, we'll probably not be able to get out of the group in the next Afcon if we qualify. So it's very dangerous to sort of say, local-based players. I mean, the reality of international football is that your players need to go to Europe and compete at those big leagues in Europe. Because when you go to an Afcon, the big teams will bring players who are playing in Afcon. The reason why Mauritania, Cape Verde, and all these so-called small teams are doing well is because their players are all playing in Mauritania and Cape Verde. They are playing in Portugal, even though they're playing for small teams there, but they are there.
Yes.
So we may have been, I don't want to use the word lucky, but we may have been good enough to get to a semi-final. But, you know, over a long period of time, you are not going to be able to sustain it. Because Tshepang will be 29 in 2 years' time, when not even 2 years' time, next year in Morocco. Is he going to be at the same level with a kid from Cameroon who's playing for Real Madrid now? No. So that's where the danger is. You know, it worked now, but it's something that we really need to think long and hard about it. And coming to my best Afcon, 2008.
I saw you tweeted about it. I'm like, oh, this man has...
Yes,
Ghana.
I remember Samuel Eto'o, Didier Drogba, Didier Zongora, Mohamed Aboutrika, Rigobert Song, Al Hadari, Chris Katongo.
You like your stars. That's your problem.
Players.
You love the stars.
Barakat was there, Well Goma, the big players.
I love the underdog story. So I think
also, someone actually asked me to look at things and put it into context when saying this was a great Afcon and possibly one of the greatest. He was saying, look, we have to remember there was a time when there was 4 teams at Afcon, then 8 teams, then 16 teams. We're now, in our second or third tournament where we have 24 teams. So, yeah, that also plays a part in some of the excitement and the excitement levels. But still, I take nothing away from this Afcon. It may not be the greatest, but it's right up there with some of the best. In 2008, yes, I have to agree. Great
Have
Afcon.
to agree. All right, Tshepang, when you look into currently the Bafana squad that we sent out, the players that had history of playing in an Afcon was Percy Dow, you had Mshishi, Tembazwane, and Ronan Williams as well. So now you, of course, have to factor in the age factor, right? Look into the future. But when you look into these 3 players firstly and their contribution in this Afcon, I mean, Percy Dow has been bashed so much. But now, how do you weigh their players and the experience that they brought to the squad, and then now the future of Bafana?
Yeah, there's a lot of experience they brought to the team. Ronwin, first communication, the saves that he makes, and his ball distribution. For me, it's the best that I saw in the competition. No one can pass the ball and distribute it like him. So there's a lot that he brought to the team, and it also gives you confidence as a defender when you know that my goalkeeper is probably going to make the save if I make a mistake. And it's happened quite a few times. That save he made against Cape Verde towards the end of the game, that was, spectacular. And Tebza as well, very, very important in the middle of the park. The way his game has grown from Supersport to Sundowns is something else. You should look at the number of players who move from various teams in the PSL and end up at Sundowns, and the way their game improves. It's so impressive, and you can see it in Tebza as well, and he'll probably get better. Hopefully he does get the move overseas. It might be a little bit too late, but I hope he gets that move. Same with Percy. Percy might not have been one of our star performers, but sometimes you need to still have those players on the pitch.
For sure.
There are days where Mshishi is not doing well, but you need him on the pitch because you know that he's going to give you something at times. He can speak to certain players at times and give them the confidence that they need on the pitch. So Percy is also that type of player. Yes, not the best Afcons. It's probably one he'd want to forget, but the experience that he brings in is still very important. And these are guys that will probably be there for the next Afcon. Not too sure about Mshishi because of age, but the other 3 will be there, and they can pass on whatever knowledge to the new guys, because they're definitely going to be new players coming in over the next few months. So we cannot take away the experience that those guys have brought into the team.
Mahlatse, Mphahlele, the nice thing about you is that you get to, study other sporting codes, yeah? You don't only focus on football. Gran Kekana went on to say that he missed his family. I mean, over 30 days of camp, it was a lot, yeah? And a lot of people have been saying, when you look into the Springboks, they get to have their families with them in major tournaments. They travel with their families, whereas on our side, the priorities as well. We don't do it. What does that mean for the footballers? And is it valid to say perhaps it's something they need to look into?
Of course they need to look into. But we know they don't have money, these ones of SAFA. So, I mean, 4 players who were on the standby list stayed in South Africa. Other teams brought all the players there. We were talking to a Mauritanian journalist there. Yeah. Mauritania came with a chef. Their own chef to cook for the players. They brought. Look at the technical team of Hugo Bruce.
Yeah.
1 goalkeeper coach, 1 masseuse, 1 what. Teams came with like the whole
entire squad.
The whole entourage of the technical team has their own bus.
Interesting enough, I was at the Blue Bulls press conference yesterday, and Jake White was speaking, and they were asking him about the difference between the gaps in the tournament compared last year to this year. He was saying this year is better. The structure of those gaps is much better. And one of the things he highlighted was sometimes the gaps are at such a time that in the important times of the year, during the URC, in the past, this was a problem. Players would be away from their families during important times. So during important times, families couldn't travel with them because of, let's say, the time of the year it was or so on. And that this year it's better because the players are spending more time with their families, even with those breaks and with the traveling. So I find that point a very important one that even Jake White highlighted just yesterday. Saying, look, with players, for him, he finds that they're happier when they're with their families, able to travel with their families or spend time with their families and still get on with their work. So, yeah.
There's no money.
Maybe go talk to them, find a way.
Because, I mean, look, imagine, these guys have been in camp from Stellenbosch. That's like almost 2 months.
Yeah.
It's too long.
Well, shouldn't they do some research as to why? Because I believe the cultures are also a bit different.
You think so?
Not that... okay, I hope I say this the right way. There's white people and there's black people. Culture's very different in terms of how we live our lives. You might not be able to take 2 months off work, for example, whereas someone who plays rugby might have a housewife. Totally different worlds. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's totally different worlds. And going to Ivory Coast is not like going to Paris for a World Cup.
The wife may not want to come along.
You know, I might say to you,
Well, maybe
I don't like that.
maybe to jump on to Tshepang's story, you actually maybe need support in Ivory Coast for a player to be able to sometimes switch off. We are not saying the partners or the wives must be there for the whole month. Maybe get them in, you know, for one weekend when you have got a gap.
Yeah.
We'll say maybe 2 or 3 days. Because these guys obviously don't train every day.
Yeah.
The coach once in a while gives them a day off and go spend time with your family, go spend time with the kids, take your mind off things and get back to playing again, you know. So I think you're dealing with human beings here who sometimes need to take their minds off sports, of competitiveness, of a Cup of Nations, to be time with families. I mean, can you imagine being away from not having seen your kids in 2 months? It's just not, it's too much.
Yeah, no, I think the dads will definitely relate to that. You let us know. We'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? Should SAFA then look into, of course, including family members for Bafana in major tournaments? We'd love to hear from you. Let's quickly find out what Coach Hugo Broos has to say after a catch-up session with Mahlatse Mphahlele.
It's very difficult to find the words because I have to be honest also. I didn't expect that. I said always when there was a draw for Afcon, okay, we have a difficult group, but it's possible. We can go through. It's possible. But then you have Morocco. So normally you're out. Normally you're out. But I felt the confidence in the group and we beat them a few months before. So I said, yeah, but it's possible, eh? It's possible. So the guys knew also that it was possible, and then you win against Morocco. And then I said also, think after Morocco, now we can reach a final. So for me, it was really, it was a fantastic experience again. It were 3 fantastic weeks. Really, we had a fantastic group. I say always fantastic, but it is fantastic. Not only the guys who were playing, but also the guys who were on the bench. Yeah, it's there is only one word. I had a fantastic experience, and I'm very, very, very happy. I said, and then okay, the second half, you had some chances to score, but we also 2 minutes before the end. So what I mean with that is that you can't tell, we lost we were not in final because of that. You did what you had to do. And it was the penalties who decided that we were not there. Or maybe, yes, the chances we had and we didn't score. But for the rest, I think if we play always like that, like against Morocco, like against Nigeria, to take those 2 games, I think we will be qualified for World Cup. But we need that level. We need that level. So normally, and we will see how we are going to arrange that problem, Lyle. So, but if Lyle is ready, and you have another good player with the team, and you become better. So again, you can't really say from yes, that was the reason why we are not in the final. We did what we have to do, and again, maybe luck we had against Cape Verde, we didn't have against Nigeria. Honestly, I'm not happy. I knew from the beginning what the problem was. Really, I knew, and I was understanding, and I talked a few times with the company, and I really understand what the problem was. Our doctor, talked with the doctor of Burnley. So we put everything together and we said, yeah, okay. I think it's not good to call Foster. Certainly that Lyle himself wrote a letter from, please, don't call me. I don't want to come. I'm not ready to play Afcon. Okay. But then he starts playing. And he plays, because now you follow it maybe more than before, he plays every game, 90 minutes. And it's not week on week in England. You play also several games in a week. And then I'm asking myself, but why wasn't it possible that he came with us to Ivory Coast?
Well, it's great to see that Coach Hugo Broos is feeling excited, of course, already looking for a replacement for Themba Zwane, even though I'm not ready for that replacement. But we bring it back to our bread and butter in South Africa, the DStv Premiership. It is back this weekend. And, of course, we've got a big encounter at Loftus Versfeld Stadium. Mamelodi Sundowns hosting Ezimnyama Ngenkani. And we do know that Mamelodi Sundowns, the last time that they lost in the league, we're talking September 2022. So it's big, yeah? And Orlando Pirates is hoping that they can cause an upset for Mamelodi Sundowns. Mahlatse Mphahlele, this is, of course, a team that is very dear to your heart, that being Mamelodi Sundowns. They've made 4 additions currently, of course, in the January transfer window. 2 of them might not be available, that being Tash, of course, due to an injury that he was carrying, and, of course, Lucas Esquivel, who they got from Argentina, who also might not be available on Saturday due to, of course, he needs to acclimatize. So that means that Themkosi Lodge might play on Saturday. Your thoughts on the additions?
Yeah, it will be nice to see Themkosi Lodge play. He has been there for a while now. He knows for a few weeks. He knows the South African style of play. He's been playing here. He knows Sundowns. There were videos where you can see the coach was working very closely with him. And with Mshishi having played so many matches or so many minutes at Afcon, the temptation may be there for Murulani to sort of, maybe not on a start, but as a second half. I see Mshishi as a guy who's coming to replace Themba, because you can see from the Sundowns team, they don't have someone younger who can play that number 10 role. But also, he plays many other positions. He can play 8, he can play
forward, left, and right.
Can come from the right. So he's very versatile on that attacking line.
Yes.
So he can play anywhere. But I don't see Mshishi playing this weekend, just because of the strength of how busy he was over the last while and the traveling and all that kind of stuff, which lends itself nicely for Themkosi Lodge to make his debut. And that will be spicy against Pirates, Can you imagine if he comes all in the second half and scores against Pirates?
Oh, goodness.
It'll be the perfect headline for Sundowns.
I can write the headline down.
Perfect headline.
Loftus and not Orlando.
You know what I mean? And also, it'll be interesting to see how the Pirates fans receive him, at Loftus. They'll probably boo him every time he touches the ball. And also, looking at the Sundowns' bigger picture, really. They're not signing these players for the league, because the league, if we are to be honest, really, is done. The big fish is the Champions League, as Coach Pichu used to say. They are going for the big fish, and I think they want to win the Champions League, or maybe not I think, but they want to win the Champions League. It's been a while. That's the target that Rulani has been set, and with the quality that they have signed in that team, really, they should go for it.
Mabena, we were talking about this, all of us, off air, when we look into Mamelodi Sundowns and the plethora of players that they've sent out to Afcon. It's not only just Mshishi, but from the goalkeeping department as well. So now, against an Orlando Pirates, how does then Coach Rulani and the players, treat this? Do you expect the players that were involved, Mshishi out of it, but now the players that were involved in Afcon, do they feature in this one, or do you rest them?
It's a great time to play Sundowns. As Orlando Pirates, for me, I wouldn't want a better time to play Sundowns, because that is the big question. If Rulani does play them, will they perform at their best? At times, and we've heard this from a few coaches, when players, even overseas, when players have left for an Afcon, they come back and at times they're club coaches feel their levels aren't the same as what they are normally at club level. So it may be the case for many of those guys that left with with the national team coming back to Mamelodi Sundowns. So for Pirates, for me, it's a great time to think, and for their fans to be optimistic. Yes, you've lost Watch, but you could be the first side to give Mamelodi Sundowns their first loss this season, if, of course, you take advantage of the fact that so many of the players, whether they play or don't play, those that went to the Afcon, it's something to take advantage of. Look, are they either fit enough? Have they been overworked with the Afcon? Are they, like you were saying, Gegana's complaining about time away, and so it's taxing on them, physically, mentally. So for Pirates and Pirates players, I think this would be a great motivating factor to see if they can get one over Pirates. I think for even the Pirates fans, they should be excited for this game.
Tshepang, I want to find out from you. I was listening to Thabiso Munyane, and he was saying that Pirates fans need to get over, Tim Kosi leaving Orlando Pirates. It happens, footballers will move on. But then I was looking into the stats where you look into this season alone. Tim Kosi only made 10 appearances for Orlando Pirates. And then you look into the fact that he's been struggling with injuries, game in, week out. And now you ask yourself then, Orlando Pirates, are they going to really miss Tim Kosi? Because you look into how they've played without a Lorch.
Look, they'll definitely miss him. I mean, when you have a player of that quality, when he's away, you're definitely going to miss him, but you can do without him. I've watched Pirates ever since Lodge won the Footballer of the Season, and he hasn't quite been the same. Obviously, there was the thing of him having a deal overseas or an offer from overseas, didn't quite work out, and life hasn't quite been the same. There's been injuries as well, and they've had to play a lot of games without him, and they've managed. They've won trophies before without him. He's been out for long periods. So, yes, you're losing one of your big stars, but are you going to miss him? No. You can go without him. I mean, Maswanganyi is there. They've signed Thabiso Libitso from Chipa United. He comes in and brings in some attacking flair that will obviously help them. But they've got enough within that team. Mufukeng has been mentioned as well. So Pirates can definitely do without him. Obviously, it's sad because you're watching him now at another team, and a team that's obviously a dominant team. That means he's adding to the quality that's there. But it's a good move for Lodge. I feel like he needed this because his career was kind of like this. He was going nowhere. So not that he was going nowhere, but he wasn't quite the same. So this now is a new challenge. You're at a new team where there's a lot more that's demanded from you, and you're going to have to rise to the occasion because you know that if you don't do well at Sundowns, you won't play. He'll get the opportunities to play, but it's his now chance to take his game to the next level. You look at Mudau, you look at Mukwena, the ones that I've mentioned, their game is now on another level. Even Ronwen himself.
And the fact that he wasn't in the national team now at the Afcon says something about Lodge's career.
So he should definitely look at this and think, hey, I'm at Sundowns. Guys like Mphahlele have improved their games. Grant Kekana have improved their games. Let me take on this challenge, improve my game, play regularly, get back into the national team. And maybe that's when Pirates will be like, we shouldn't have let him go. But for now, I'm sure they're like, it's okay.
They don't mind it at all. All right, Mr. Mphahlele. Now, when you look into the signings, Tshepang touched on them a little bit for Orlando Pirates. I mean, they've recalled Utsehofaso Mabasa, who I thought, I don't know why you let him go in the first place, but nonetheless, he's back at OP. And then you look at Mbata as well, who they've got from SuperSport United. Talk to us about the signings. And well, now look, we always commend Mamelodi Sundowns about the depth that they have. And when you look at Orlando Pirates, I mean, we've said that they've got quality players. It's not that they don't have the players. The players are there. But there's just something that they struggle with. And mainly it's the consistency. 1 week, you see a top-notch Orlando Pirates, one starting 11. The next game, it's a different starting 11. So talk to us about those changes and the consistency for Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, well, for me, I think over the last few seasons, the team that I've always believed that comes close to Sundowns in terms of the quality they have in that side is Pirates. But to my surprise, I don't think they have really stepped up. They've leveled up in Sundowns. For whatever reason, I think I've got a lot of respect for the coach, Jose Ferreiro. I think he's a good coach. He's improved some of the players who are there. There are question marks about some of the other players that are there that really haven't lived up to expectations. You look at Evidence Mahopa. I think he has worked very hard on him. You look at Thaba Monari. I think he can still get the best out of someone like Maswanganyi.
Yes.
Who there is something there, but personally I feel he holds on to the ball for too long. He likes to over elaborate. He doesn't do the basics well,
There's
and
room for
sometimes
improvement.
you complicate your life if you know you like to one extra touch and style and all that kind of things. So I think the coach has been good for them. The players that have come back, you are right. I think Mabasa left. You know, he's back now. I just feel maybe with Mabasa that maybe he's a player who doesn't do well under pressure. He was at Pirates, he didn't do well. He went to Swallows, he started bringing in the goals. The challenge is for him now to go back to Pirates and see if he can consistently perform at a club that has got so much pressure. I'm also hoping for something with Mufokeng. I really, really like the kid.
Yeah.
I think we've got something special there. You know, he plays well, but you know, the currency of a striker is goals, and he hasn't scored a single goal this season in all competitions, which is a worry for me. It's just I spoke to him recently at when they were going to school there at Gibbs, and he admits that what is missing in his game is goals. You know, I'm sure he said that Temiko Zilochi is gone because that is his role model, and he was able to play with the guy in the same team. But you know, there will be other senior players around at the club, like Taba Monare and them, who will continue to sort of play that senior role and make sure that this team comes across. And you know, the test is coming this weekend against Sundowns. Let's see how they can do. But also, even for them, they have a similar problem that San Jose has, because they've got about four players who are with the national team, who have played you know, sort of matches there at Afcon. What does the coach do? Does he also give them a stand break, or they come back straight into the thick of things? So we'll see how they approach that match against Sundowns. But yeah, I think they've done nicely in the transfer market over the last few weeks.
All right, Tshepang, I'm told you've got the scoop here. Swallows and what's happening there. I mean, they're playing Polokwane City. We do know that recently they fired the reserve team coaching department, and I was like, okay, cool. They're going into the lower level now. That's fine. Andile Jali lost his case, so they won't be paying him money, but instead he needs to pay the committee for sitting and listening to him on that issue that he had. So where is Swallows currently? Where are we with them? I mean, we know that, yes, they've fired about 22 players. So who are they fielding? What is the status? Who is the coach? What's going on at Swallows?
Well, they play Polokwane City over the weekend, and they're definitely going to have a team that's lined out on Saturday. There's a lot that has been happening behind the scenes. Players left, but then there are those who returned. Daniel Ekpe, I know, is still there. He returned. Kaba Mahango is one of the players who returned. And they've also managed to sign players as well. Nyauza, former Orlando Pirates player, is there. I think Litsia Kwapeng, who was recently at Richards Bay, is also there. So they do have a team that they're going to field on the day. Coach Musa Nyatama has been working with the team because Steve Kompela has not returned since the start of the year, because there are still issues between him and the club, which have not been resolved up to now. And chances are that he's going to leave the team, and maybe there's an announcement coming soon from that. So Musa Nyatama is expected to take over for the rest of the season. But that's not new to him, because when the club finished in the top 8 last season, he was the one who finished the campaign with, I remember Morgan Mamila was there as part of the technical team. So he knows the players, he knows the team. And what I like about him is that he continues. Life is difficult. Things are obviously not going according to plan and smoothly. But Musa Nyatama, for him, this is also an important job where he has to prove himself. So probably all these things that are happening behind the scenes, he doesn't focus on, because he knows that he has to perform to kind of convince others in future to hire him. Maybe it might be his next job, or his growth might not be at Swallows, but it could be at another team. So I like that he's staying focused on what he has to do. And this is another opportunity for him to prove himself as a coach in the PSL. Forget about what's happening. They do have a team. They do have over 20 players, obviously, in the team. enough to field a squad. So all they need to do is try to get results.
I want to stay with you on that one. I remember we went, Mahlatse Mphahlele, we went to the Nedbank Cup draw, and this man was there, Tshepang Mailwane was there, and he was talking to Coach Thabo September for a good 20 minutes. and I asked myself, what are you guys talking about for 20 minutes? He is currently at Chippa United. They play Cape Town City this weekend. Perhaps unpack for us, the thoughts with September and now his expectations at Chippa.
You know me, Clauiee, I like asking questions, so interviews are always going to go for long. But when I was speaking to September, I was trying to figure out why is it that he left DDC, where everything is going well at Supersport, to join Chippa United, where he probably could be fired in 2 days, 2 weeks. They have this joke where when you work for Chippa United, you shouldn't unpack your bags because you could get fired at any point. But
for sure.
I like what he said in that he doesn't like to be comfortable. And sometimes that's what we need in life. We need to get out of comfort zones because we're so afraid to take the next step. And if you don't take the next step in your life, you stay in the same place forever and probably be unhappy. One day you look back, you're like, oh, maybe I should have... taken that decision.
For sure.
Whether it works out or not, there's a lesson in all of that. And he'd move on to something else that could work out for the better because there are lessons that he gained from that. So I like his bravery. It's a big job because you have to impress a chairman that is very difficult to please and doesn't always wait for results. So I hope that he and Kwanele, obviously their co-coaches, are able to get the best out of Chippa. They've got some good players there. They've brought back Evanga, who scored 10 goals in a season the last time he was there. He can add a lot to the team. So good challenge for him, good challenge. And it's not ideal to start there, but I think it will build him a lot as a coach.
I definitely will. Mr. Mphahlele, quickly, what then other fixture do you look forward to seeing this weekend besides the big one that we have?
I think Sizwe is interested.
They can only be one. They can only.
Sizwe's already jumping.
I know. It's Royal against Chiefs. The struggles Wales have had so far this season. The way Chiefs ended the year last year, I thought was very interesting. They were on and up and up. There was a new, fresh bounce about them. And the question is, can they maintain that and continue their climb? They've climbed nicely up the table up until the break for the Afcon. So for Royal AM, the big question is, do you get it together? And at which point do you get it together?
And Chairman has been training hard, hey?
And Chairman's been working hard on social media.
Very hard.
I see the visa coming out of the thighs. He's licking the pod. So will it translate to results from them? They need them. And Chiefs is always under pressure. They need the results as well. I like the fact that Chiefs is now catching up to Pirates, the Supersports and so on. When you look at the top 5, 6, 7 in the table, it looks right. With Cape Town City and then the teams you want there are the ones at the top. So Chiefs need to continue to do well.
Mphahlele?
Yeah, for me, one of the things that I'm looking forward to for the remainder of the season is Kaizer Chiefs. I think they've been not good. I mean, that's an open secret. We all know that. And they owe it to their fans really to become better. And I mean, if you have been listening to Coach Hugo Bruce, he has been saying this thing that though Chiefs and Pirates don't have a right to have players in the national team, don't have a right to play CAF competitions, it will make the Bafana stronger if you consistently have Chiefs, Pirates, Supersport, Cape Town City, competing for not even for second, but to win the league. But exactly Chiefs, I think they really need to start coming to the party because if we are to be honest, they've been mediocre, and for such a big club, such a big brand. That in the past they've been associated with so much success, to be struggling the way they've been struggling at the moment is not good. I hope they find a coach. I hope they find money somewhere to compete on the market because some of the players that could end up at Chiefs end up at Sundowns because they just can't compete on the market. And so there are so many things which they need to get right for them to be competitive again.
All right, we can only hope that the Glamour Boys will be glamorous once again sometime in the near future. On that note, let's find out what's been happening in Klokop. We do know that Coach Rulani Mokoena is addressing, of course, the media to tell us what his game plan probably would be and how the team is feeling ahead of the fixture against Orlando Pirates.
It's always very difficult after such a long period, and also for us, we have not had all our players at the same time for every single training session, which also makes it a little bit complicated. But we've got a very good squad. We've got a lot of very good players in every position. So we feel that we are strong enough to be able to go into the game with the squad that we have, and whatever possibilities might be available with the players that return. We know how difficult it's going to be. On Saturday, it's against a very good side, and we have to make sure that we are at our best, not just from a technical, tactical perspective, but also emotionally, and maybe even psychologically, to make sure that we give a good performance.
First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my former team, Orlando Pirates, especially the Dr. Ivan Koza, for giving me the opportunity to play for a team like Orlando Pirates. I remember I signed there when I was 22 years, and I left there when I'm 8. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that he gave me. Pirates will always have a special place in my heart. Yeah, and also I want to thank the president of Mamelodi Sundowns for believing in me, for bringing me into this beautiful team, and I'm looking forward to give my best for this team. The team welcomed me well in the team. The spirit in the team is very good. Everyone wants to play. Every player wants to play over the weekend. Yeah, because we're playing a Pirates. It's a big team. It's a big game. So, yeah, I would say the coach will decide who plays. So it's up to the coach. Yeah, it's difficult to play my first game, especially against my former team. But yeah, life, we need to move on. I'm hoping that I will start over the weekend and do my best for my team.
Thank you. I'm not the same coach before when we prepare for Pirates, and they know that because they know me very well. And unfortunately, it's one of those games that there's far too much to it. And it's very difficult to become less emotional. There's still people at that club that I fully respect and I like. The chairman will always be someone that's very special to me. And the club itself, from a family perspective, is a club that's got so many connotations to my family and what some of the members of my family are today. It is because of Orlando Pirates. So I can never, ever, ever go into a space where I disrespect Orlando Pirates, because the first person that would fight me is my late grandfather. He would turn in his grave. And so everything that I do and at every point I've got to show respect and humility towards Pirates. But of course, my allegiance and my responsibility now is towards Mamelodi Sundowns, and I have to give everything that I can to make sure that we are ready, but also to make sure that we win, because that's the mentality and that's always the responsibility is to give the very best that I can to a club that I love, because I love Mamelodi Sundowns.
It's great to see that Coach Rulani Mokoena is feeling upbeat ahead of this fixture. We keep it moving. It's a big weekend, URC weekend. We've got the Bulls who will be playing the Lions this weekend, Mahlatse Mphahlele. Talk to us about that fixture. I mean, it's a big encounter. What could we possibly expect?
Yeah, it's a big encounter. They're meeting for the second time now in less than a month before the break of the Six Nations. The Lions were the Bulls. It was a close match, 2 points difference between the two teams. And yeah, I think also the same will be pretty much the same with this one. But for the Bulls, for their advantage is that Coach Jake White will probably welcome some of the Springbok players. I think Kelly Moody is back. Ketley Arendse should be back to add to Bravili Leroux. So that forward line should be good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what should be a very good game at Ellis Park. I know there's been issues surrounding Ellis Park now lately. So with the stadium still good, but people are complaining about that vicinity of the stadium. There's been a lot of carjackings there and all those kinds of things, and so. But the Lions have said it in uncertain terms that they don't want to move there because they don't know if they move where. It's a grand old South African rugby stadium, which lots of memories. World Cup 1995 was won there and all those things. But yeah, I think should be a good game between two rivals in the Gauteng Derby, which will be fun. And elsewhere on the coast is the Sharks against the Stormers, another big match between two rivals. So it's a good round of fixtures in the URC for this weekend.
Mabena, you were at the press conference with Coach Jake White at Loftus. Talk to us about what caught your attention in that conference.
For me, most importantly was the players he's welcoming back into the squad from injury. And when he was asked about that, he made the point that what's fortunate for him is he doesn't have to work hard to get them back to match fitness because there have been so many breaks. There's not too many players throughout the league that are match hardened, so to speak. So getting them back to the level everybody else is at is something that hasn't been too hard for him. And he has all the confidence the guys coming back from injury to come in and slot in quite comfortably with where everybody else is at competitively right now. So I thought that was an interesting point. But he also sounds confident for the Bulls against this Lions game. I think he's looking further than the Lions and looking for an improvement. Best attack in the URC, the Bulls so far. Defensively, if they can show up their game, they're going to be a real threat.
All right, on that note, let's find out what Coach White has to say ahead of this encounter.
It's been quite widely broadcasted that having overseas-based players being coached by overseas coaches and being paid by rich overseas clubs is a model that works for us. So I'm not convinced that if we have all the money in the world, that's necessarily going to change. I'm going to keep telling you every press conference that's what we should do, and I'm going to keep telling you as a guy who wears a Bulls cap that if you want the franchises and the provinces to be strong, we've got to be allowed to pick our best players and keep our best players in South Africa. That's not. Use Bafana as an example. They play Nigeria with 7-8 guys who play in top leagues, and you wonder why Bafana can't win. It's not hard. It's not difficult to understand. So we need those big name players to be playing here week in and week out. We need them to be able to beat sides like La Rochelle and Leinster and those guys consistently. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, as I said, from your lips to God's ears, is that if we get this massive equity deal, that would mean that someone would make a decision that there's no need to moan about money anymore. We can now bring our best players back to play in South Africa.
Let's go. 3 O's. 2, 3. Let's go. Okay.
Who won the Shield in Wales, do you know? Yeah. Who won the Shield in Scotland? So, I mean, who cares, In the day, you want to win the competition, Sure, along the way, you want to try and tick some boxes and you want to be the best provincial side in South Africa because that's what we get measured on. But, I mean, as I said to you, if I asked you who won the Shield in Scotland or Wales or whatever, you wouldn't be able to tell me, And I'm talking about 2 years ago. We won it 5 years ago when they had a Shield as well, So, yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. I think there's a bigger picture at stake, and we've got to play our best rugby when it comes to the end of the competition.
Jackie had a bit of a surprise there against the Lions a couple of weeks ago. It was a close shave at the end. You've identified what went wrong. Have a plan for them on Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we dropped the ball over in behind our in-goal area. That's 7 points. They scored a first-phase try over the top of a line-out. That's 14 points. And they missed a tackle on the half-a line. That's 21 points. Not many teams you can give 21 points for nothing and think you're going to win. So, yeah, we will be better. We'll be better. I think maybe sometimes you need those sort of games to get a group to get a wake-up call. And this ironic thing is we played really well against them at Ellis Park. If you look at our record, probably got a better record at Ellis Park than most other teams, and also a better record at Ellis Park than we have in the last couple of seasons at Loftus against them. So who knows, maybe that's the game we need away from home. And to be fair, we've got a lot of guys who played, but Yaku played there, and so it's like a home game for them. I think in our favour is that everyone's had off for a long period of time. You know, if this had been a game where everyone had played for the last 5-6 weekends in a row, then he's way behind. You know, then the blessing is even going to the Stormers game. If guys like, you know, Wilco come back and guys like Vili come back, it's not a train smash because for 3, 4, 5 weeks the Stormers haven't played as well, and you know, and so it's almost like for like. It's like the opening game of a tournament where some guys have had friendlies, some guys haven't, some guys it's much of a leveler. Whereas, you know, I would be more concerned if we were going into a game and the other opposition had 6 games on a trot, kept their squad, you know, were probably more battled hardened than our guys. I'm sure it's going to be the same for them. They've also had off, and they also have to make rotations or whatever. And I'm talking about the Stormers now going forward. I mean, I don't want to worry too much about Stormers, but to answer your question, it's not as drastic. I think it would be if we were playing a team that's oiled.
Well, great to see that Coach White is excited for this encounter against the Lions. Please do head over to Ellis Park and make sure that you support whoever you're backing in this encounter. Well, it's my favorite part of the show now. It's time for the quiz. The gentleman here hated, but Tshepang Mailwane decided to join in on the banter today. I've got Click Click Bang, that's actually your team, the name of your team, and then we've got our favorite influencer on that side. And we're going to start with you, Sizwe Mabena. You know the rules. Tshepang, just to quickly fill you in, I just ask as many questions as possible in a minute and you answer them. If you don't know it, pass it and we keep it going. Yeah? Easy enough, right?
Let's hope so.
Doesn't look sure.
So. He doesn't look. This is the kind of player where you say, "I'm going." All right, click, bang. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, go. Who is the South African captain of the under-19 cricket national team?
Pause.
Which year did the South African under-19 win the ICC Cricket World Cup?
Pause.
Why are you pausing like that? Who was named the player of the tournament at the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup this year?
I should know this name. Pause.
Okay. Who was crowned the SA20 Player of the Season?
This year?
Uh-huh. The season that just concluded now.
SA20. Well, that was last season. This one is still on.
SA20. It's done.
Whoa, no.
Okay, cool. Which year did Arsenal win Champions League?
Arsenal?
Uh-huh.
Champions League?
Uh-huh.
Never.
Cool. Which year did Chelsea win Champions League?
Was it 2016?
Okay, how many league titles does Manchester City have?
Time.
That's time. How many did you get?
I got like one. Arsenal, like ICC under 19. Did you guys know any of this?
Nah, she might as well pass.
You're already all passing. I feel like Mahlatse knows the
Mahlatse knows. Look. I promise you, he says the questions the night before.
I've heard it in my mind. The years and I can't. I don't know.
Okay, let's go. That was my questions.
Let's start with your questions.
Yeah.
Mr. Mphahlele, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Who is the South African captain of the under-19 cricket national team?
I don't know the name, but his name is Biachte something.
Which year did the South African under-19 win the ICC Cricket World Cup?
2017 something.
Who was named the player of the tournament at the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup?
Is this kid the fast ball? I can't remember his name.
Okay. Who were the finalists at the recently concluded SA20?
Finalists. Sunrisers Eastern Cape against Durban Super Giants.
Who was crowned the SA20 Player of the Season?
Pass, I can't remember.
Who is Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer?
Thierry Henry.
How many league titles does Manchester City have?
15.
Which club has recorded the most wins in EPL history?
Manchester United.
Which club has the longest Premier League unbeaten home run?
Chelsea.
Who was the first African player to play in the Premier League?
Time. I'll call it.
Okay, cool. That's time for Mahlatse Mphahlele. Tshepang, you want to give it a try?
Let's go.
I'm gonna give you the easier ones. He's a guest. I'll give him.
Me the Manchester United one.
You took too long. You were thinking about it. I can't help you on that one. All right, we're good. No, we'll warm it up easily. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Tshepang, who is Liverpool's all-time Premier League goal scorer?
Robbie Fowler.
Who was the first African player to play in the Premier League?
Peter Ndlovu.
Which club has the longest Premier League unbeaten home run?
I'm going to go with Man City.
How many league titles does Manchester City have?
6.
Which years did Chelsea win the Champions League?
2012, 2021.
Who is Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer?
Thierry Henry.
Who was crowned the SA20 Player of the Season?
Pass.
Who is the league commissioner of the SA20?
Pass.
Who was named the player of the tournament at the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup?
Pass.
Which year did the South African Under-19 win the ICC Cricket World Cup?
2015.
Who were the finalists at the recently concluded SA20?
Pass.
Who is the South African captain at the Under-19 Cricket National Team?
Time.
Pass.
All right. I love how you just close your eyes and you're just like, what is happening?
He did well.
He did well, yeah. I think for a beginner, you did well on the show.
Listen to you.
I'm not upset. Let's quickly find out how the gentleman did as I quickly get the results from, of course, our auditors. Well, so I've got the results from our auditors. Sizwe, click, click, bang. How many do you think you got?
1.
Congratulations.
What a legend.
All I need is 1 mic.
That's all good, Sizwe. Mahlatse Mphahlele, my favorite influencer. What's your lucky guess?
I think it's 2 or 3.
2 or 3? You got 4. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So not shabby at all. Tshepang, you got 3. Not too bad for a beginner.
So you can't come back ever again.
Because it makes you look bad, yeah? I agree with that. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, of course. That's been absolutely it. Hopefully you enjoyed the show as much as we did. Would love to hear from you on the comments section. We want to hear from you. Your star of the week, Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. That encounter, how is it going to go? Who are you looking forward to seeing? And of course, as the gentleman alluded, Royal AM and Kaizer Chiefs. But from us at the Arena Sports Show, it's cheers. Goodbye, Sizwe Mabena.
Click, click. Bang.
He missed it. How does Mahlatse Mphahlele miss the whole bang?
I'm on the French tip. I'll say au revoir.
Goodbye.